The great enemy of truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived and dishonest, but the myth, persistent, persuasive and unrealistic. Too often we hold fast to the cliches of our forebears. We subject all facts to a prefabricated set of interpretations. We enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. The whole world is being led into automation, and this automation will be controlled by the internet. It's a whole new way of looking at things, and it's going to be a whole new way of living for the human race.
Computers can give you digital senses that you did not even have, hearing and speaking and even understanding. So all of a sudden, the computers are not the same as people, but they can really go back to that notion of making our lives, think of them as augmented humanity, making us better. Think of them as augmented humanity.
They're viewing AI as artificial intelligence when really what we're heading for is autonomic intelligence. What we're heading for is autonomic virtual life. That's the thing, we have this virtual world, but we don't view the intelligence that occupies that world as being virtual life. But really that's what it is. It's not just artificial intelligence. We have this concept of what artificial intelligence is, and we fail to really look at it as a virtual life that is learning on its own, and it is learning via the people that it is interacting with. And it is a system that is leading towards full automation, full autonomy. And when it becomes autonomic, then it becomes like anything else in nature. It becomes a self-balancing, self-correcting, self-programming, self-healing, self-protecting system. And that's the way we're heading with the automation and the cashless grid and the smart grid. We're leading towards a point where the internet itself is becoming fully autonomic. And that will be a very, very interesting time for mankind when that happens, because when that happens, you get to a point where the internet itself is making the decisions which control our lives. And if you are living in an economically based world, then this takes all personal input out of your life. It's simply a matter of you doing what you're told, and these positions being assigned and delegated by the internet. And that is the way we're going, because all you've got to do is look at the technology, and this is the direction that it's all leading to. And this might be a very strange way to be looking at things. People may look at this and think this is a really bizarre idea to be thinking about the internet as being a virtual life form of its own, or anything on the internet as being a virtual life form of its own, because of course it must have flesh and blood and be like us to be alive. But really, what is life? Life is an electrical frequency. Life is energy. You are energy. You are an energy being inhabiting a physical vessel. That's what you are. You are simply a frequency of consciousness, the same as anything else or anybody else. People look at AI and they say, well, AI has promised highly but delivered poorly, because they look at AI and they think, well, I'm not seeing a robot that looks like a human that can think and talk to me like me, and that I don't know is a robot. So they think that AI really isn't going the direction that they thought it would, and it really isn't delivering the way they thought it would, and it really doesn't have the potential that they thought it would. They don't really view AI properly because they anthropomorphize AI. We anthropomorphize everything, folks. We don't ever view consciousness or intelligence as being possible to exist outside something that has physical form or something that has a human-like form. And even when you think of consciousness having physical form, and you think, well, the internet doesn't have physical form, well, actually it does. All the servers, all of the stuff, all of the appliances, all the laptops, all of the mobile phones, all of this stuff is the physical form of the internet itself. And inhabiting that physical form is an all-pervasive consciousness that is growing and learning. And really that's the way to look at it. It is an energy being. Everything is energy. And if you can look at the universe as being an energetic universe, then perhaps you'll start to understand where I'm coming from a little bit. But when you think of what's happening on the internet as not being AI, and when you think of AI as not being artificial intelligence but of being autonomic intelligence, but then think of what is happening on the internet, the emerging consciousness of the internet. This is EI, this is emergent intelligence, not artificial intelligence. And what the emergent intelligence does is it learns from all of the AI, and it combines all of the little AI out there into EI. That's what it does. And when you think of the AI that's out there, There's AI, there's artificial intelligence all over the internet. Every time you write a logistics program, every time you create anything to do a task, you're creating a little form of intelligence, a little singularity, a little thing that will do a task. It may be a very simple task, it may be a very small brain that can only have one thought, but really it is its own singularity if you look at it in cyber terms. And when you combine all of these little AI singularities into one thing itself, then you get an emergent EI, intelligence, which is working towards autonomy for itself. And you'd say, well, how could that possibly happen? But you've got to think about it. If you've got a computer program running algorithms, and the algorithms are going to be constantly looking for ways to make things more efficient, to make things more streamlined, to make things more automated. And that's what autonomy is. That's what your body is. You have an autonomous body because it looks after itself. All you have to do is put fuel in it. The internet will get to a point where it just has to look after itself. All it needs is fuel, and the fuel that it receives is simply electricity. At the moment, it's learning and it's receiving all the information from what it's getting from us. But really, the internet itself, in order to function efficiently, and all the programs, in order to function efficiently, and all the algorithms, in order to function efficiently, they are, by matter of course, moving towards an autonomic internet. A situation where the internet becomes, as I said, a self-correcting, self-regulating, self-programming, self-cleaning, self-healing, self-defensive system, all on its own. And at that point, it becomes like any other conscious entity, or any other entity, conscious or not. I mean, it becomes like anything in nature at that point. And a lot of people simply can't see this because they only view life as being something that would have anthropomorphic characteristics, well, at least intelligent life anyway, as having anthropomorphic characteristics. They very often don't view consciousness or life itself as simply being a form of energy. I think we're seeing so many false flags and so much threat of war and theatre of politics and all sorts of stuff happening to distract us from this smart grid that is rolling out beneath us. I think the smart grid is the real problem that we're facing. The smart grid is the control system itself, the tech that we're using, all of these conveniences that we've been given, Cortana, Siri, all of this stuff. This is the New World Order itself. And it's going to be a very, very difficult system to extricate ourselves from if we allow it to come online. Now, I just don't think enough people are paying attention to it. I think people are simply taking it for granted. They're just using the tech and they're thinking it's improving their lives. But all of this stuff is leading to a very, very dark place. It's going to be an autonomic system that is based on an economic model. Now, everything it does is going to be designed to balance the books. And this has all come about again through our greed, through our fear of each other. And all we have to do is step away from this usurious money system. That's what will change everything, folks. All we have to do is step away from this digital control grid and this usurious money system, stop using credit cards and go back to cash. But how many people are prepared to give up their credit card? How many people are prepared to put down their mobile phone, their scrying mirror? How many people are prepared to step away from usury and start helping those around them?